Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to How We Got Here on this Monday night. As you know, we come to you each Monday night at 7 o'clock, Central Standard Time, 8 o'clock on the East Coast, to bring to you what the Lord put on my heart to share with you as how we got to this point. I'm so grateful for you making it possible. You're the only reason why we come on and do this. Started doing this right, I think, at the height of the at the beginning of the pandemic, I think it was, and so we've continued since that time. And I've prayerfully hoped that you getting something out of it every Monday night. We come here not to just take up your time, but to speak into your life. And I speak multiple blessings over every one of you tonight. Not little, but great blessings, great favor, great mercy be upon you, unlimited, without reservation or hesitation. Receive what God has for your life. But I want to talk tonight on, if I were to put a topic on this, it is that the life is in the seed. Hear what I just said. Life is within the seed. And how we got to where we are today is that we forgot about that. I think that life is in the seed. And if that seed is not sown properly or in the right ground, that seed will come up only for a short period of time. Our children are our seed. We are seeds from our parents, and what was downloaded to us got us to where we are at the moment. So I want to challenge you tonight to hear my heart. Hear my heart. I'm going to give you some stats and statistics, hopefully, the importance of that man being in the children's life or being in the family's life. What happens when the father is not involved, and when he tells a father, provoke not your children to wrath. That's God. That is God. So I want to talk tonight on life is in the seed. Life is within the seed. Hear my heart tonight. So if you don't mind, please hit that share button if you're watching on Facebook Live, and like us if you have not already done so. And I just want to open hopefully some doors tonight that we can walk to some areas that we haven't been in for a while. You and I are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are the apple of God's eye, created unto him through Christ into good works. But I want to talk about when we fail to take care of the seed, it affects the next generation. See, what's happening with this generation is going to set the next generation either in an upward trajectory or a downward one. What this generation gets affects the next generation, and we're forgetting that. My generation, I'm a child of the 50s and 60s. Graduated high school in 1973. Just celebrated my 50th year class reunion last month. Been in high school 50 years, out of college 46 years, with undergraduate degree. And so all those things that I'm talking about is what was instilled into me is a seed. And that seed got into me, and then it produced what I am through Christ that affects my children, which is going to affect their children. A good man, the book says, the good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That inheritance, guys, is a seed. It can be a tangible seed. It can be a spiritual seed that is sown. But life is in the seed. Life is in the seed. Life is in the seed. And we're going to talk about now how we got to this point. As you know, each Monday night we begin the book of Acts, chapter 17, and verse 26. We begin each Monday night with that, so to let us know what God think about where you are now and where you're placed at the moment. He said this, and hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on the face of the earth, and hath determined the time before appointed in the bounds of the habitation. So God knew where you would be at this moment, at this Monday night in October. God knew what you would be. He knew where you would be stationed. The year that you were born was set. The day you were born was set. The moment was set. The year, the decade, the century, all set before it came to pass. He determined, I'm going to read again, have made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed in the bounds of the habitation. He appointed you and I. So we're not too early. We're not too late. We're at the right time. We're in the right place. We're in the right century, the right decade. So we can be what God wants to be, and it's not be a stress to say He planned it all the time. All right. So now let's talk tonight. Life. The life is in the seed. Our parents, we are the seed of our parents, offsprings of our parents. Then they put a seed into us. They sowed a seed into us. They sowed a seed into us. And the fruit that we produce is the life we live. And then we, in turn, if God blesses us with children, we have to do the same thing for them. But how we got to this point is what have we done with these seeds? What are we doing with the seed? Let me read to you something. John chapter 12 and verse 24. The book of John, the gospel recorded by St. John, verse 24, chapter 12, verse 24 reads, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. Now, unless we sow a word into our people, our children, young adults, whoever we may be, it cannot come up. And what we have sown, remember now, we reap what we sow. If we don't sow into our children's lives, we're going to reap that back from them. If we sow into their lives, we're going to reap back what we sow into them, whatever it may be. Lack thereof or the abundance of it is going to produce a harvest. Life is in the seed. Life is in the seed. Everything reproduces after its kind. You don't know where we are? Somebody sowed into you. And what is being downloaded to us on a regular basis, social media, TV, radio, entertainment, sports, the culture itself, all are seeds, and life is in the seed. If I'm not raised around what is right, then I'm going to be taught what is right by someone, and that may not be the right way. I'm going to be taught life. The culture will teach me, the surrounding will teach me, or my environment teacher, or my family will teach me. But life, I'm gonna keep saying it again, life is in the seed. If we don't sow into the lives of those who are connected to us, they will get it from somewhere. They will get it from somewhere. I'm gonna just talk today about fathers, African American fathers in general, but especially to African American fathers. I thank God I grew up with my mom and dad in the house. Yeah, my dad was in my life, strong black man. I mean, uneducated but strong, smart black man who took care of his family, provider, was a protector, was our rock, was our enforcer. Was our, we knew we were safe with him. So I grew up with that. So I learned nurturing children from my dad because he did it to us. Again, a man who couldn't read and write, but man, he was a father. He was a father, hard working. So that seed is in me. I didn't have to be told to go to work. I didn't have to be told to take care of your family. That didn't have to be drilled because I saw my dad do it, and that seed got placed in me. Because remember, everything reproduces after its kind. Let me read Genesis chapter 1, verse 11 and 12. Genesis chapter 1, verse 11 and 12. Now watch this. In verse 11 and 12 says this. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, and the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself. Listen, fruit trees that produces the apples have seeds. All these fruit trees have seeds that reproduces. Our lives reproduce based upon what's in us, because life is in the seed. your children, your family, you and I are byproducts of what was put into us, placed into us, and it comes up and grows. From you cannot produce, you cannot become what's not in you. You cannot become what is not in you. You cannot become what is not in you. He said in verse 11 again, this is God speaking now through Moses. He said that and whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And so it was. Verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit whose seed was in it after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Everything came about from what it came out of. Put me in a good home. More times than not, I'm going to produce good character. I'll have good character produced from that, because I'm producing the fruit from the seed that was placed in me. Make sense? We can't expect righteousness and all unrighteousness seeds have been placed in us. We can't plant. We can't harvest. I'm sorry. We can't produce what has never been placed in me. Are we surprised that crime is on the rise, or violence on the rise, or disobedience on the rise, sinful activities on the rise, when that's all that's being stored into us on a regular basis? Is it any surprise that we're acting like this now? Is it any surprise that this is how we got here? Because everything reproduces after his kind. The seed is in itself. My goodness. Seed is in itself. Within the fruit is the seed. And from that seed produces other fruit. You can't get apple seeds and expect an orange harvest. You can't have an orange seed and expect an apple orchard, or whatever they're called, or apple tree. You can't get it. Why? Because the seed is in itself. And what are we doing to the seed? Life is in the seed. Everything reproduces after its kind. Y'all, we reap what we sow. We can't sow bad seeds and expect to have good crops. What have we done to the seed? That's the question. What have we done to the seed? Now, if I withhold, if I don't get the revelation of what we can do, if I don't get that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, if they never hear me that no weapon formed against us shall prosper, if they never hear if God be for you, who can be against you, if they never hear greater is he that's in us, he that's in the world, if we never hear the Lord is our light, our salvation, whom shall we fear? The Lord is the strength of our life, who shall we be afraid? If they never hear that, they never get the revelation of who he is. Ecclesiastes 9:11. Go there with me quickly. And I got to give you this one. Ecclesiastes 9:11, which is one of my favorite verses. Ecclesiastes 9 and verse number 11. Now watch what it says. This is Solomon in his wisdom writes, I returned, I'm going to keep talking about this one. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift. You see that? Nor the battle to the strong, nor or neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to the men of understanding, nor yet favor to the men of skill, but time and chance happening to them all. If they never hear that God's going to give you the time and God's going to give you the opportunity, but you got to prepare. If they never hear that God's going to give me the time, God's going to give me the opportunity, but I got to prepare myself, then there's a seed that was not placed, and I can't expect success if I never sowed a success ability seed. I'm going to say it again. I cannot expect success if I never sown that you can do anything but fail, that God can do anything but fail, and there's nothing impossible for him. If I never sow that seed, remember, life is in the seed. Everything reproduces after its kind. Even you and I, as mature adults, we can't expect God to do what we've never downloaded from him. If there's no faith, there's no foundation for me to believe. And without faith, it is impossible to please God. We have access to everything heaven has available. I'm going to say it again. You tonight, not tomorrow, right now where you stand, where you are sitting or wherever you are today, or hearing this message, you have access to everything that heavens have to offer. Oh, can somebody put some hand claps down in the comment section? Just clap those hands and thank God that ain't nothing being withheld from me, and I got the ability to get from heaven. I just told you now. I'm going to read, then I'm going to go one more thing. I return this all to the Son, Ecclesiastes 9:11, that the race is up to the swift, nor yet battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to the men of understanding, nor yet favor to the men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. Do you see that? Do you see that tonight? My goodness, do you see that? Right? For God gonna give you the time, God's gonna give you the opportunity, but He is not going. He is not going to prepare you. That's what you got to do. Life is in the seed. What have we done with the seed? With what we give our children and the children ourselves. Make sense? So if I don't get the revelation, if I'm not expressing what God can do, if I'm not expressing what we can do, if the head not be in place, the body remains stagnant. If the head gets out of place, then the body gets out of place. If the head is unclear, the body is unclear. If the head becomes unstable, then the body is unstable. That's how important the headship is. It's a seed. What are we sowing? This is how we got to this point tonight, my brothers and sisters. Let me read something to you. This is one of my favorite. When I saw this, I said, wow. Deuteronomy 29:29. The importance of revelation. If we don't sow this seed that God can do this, or God trying to reveal it to us, how can they ever get it? Deuteronomy 29:29 said, the secret thing belongs to the Lord our God. But those things that have been revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. So about God, toward God, about us, for us, it needs to be revealed to the seed sowers, that's us, that it can be revealed to our children. What I get affects my children. What I don't get affects my children. See, that's something that's taken longer for our children to become or to do, because we didn't give the revelation before a long time ago. So the longer it takes me to get it, the longer it takes my children to see it. Make sense? So if I take a long time realizing that God can do this, then if I don't teach that, they'll grow up believing that God can't, or it's not for us to have. That I got to live a life of poverty. The devil is a lie. I got to accept my plight. The devil is a lie. I got to accept being sick and down, depressed. The devil is a lie. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Woo, with joy shall you draw waters out of the wells of salvation. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. He is the King of glory. Don't be cast down, oh my soul, for there's a lifting in him. We don't have to accept the plight that the enemy try to tell us. He wants to show us so we can show to our children. He wants to show us and show to our children. What have we done to the seed? Let me give you some stuff, some stats here that I want to share with you. And I got this from the Children Count data. This is from the Annie Casey Foundation. The Annie Casey Foundation says in this study called Kids Count, on that section, in 2021, this was, I don't have for 2022 or 23 yet, but the last time it was taken, single children or single parents, listen to this, in America, 64%, oh my goodness, of the families were led by single parent home. Let that sink in. I'm sorry, African American children. The African American community, 64% of all households were single parents. And well majority of those are single mothers. let that sink in again. 64% of all African American families were single parent homes. Listen to these stats. American Indians, 49%. Asian Americans, 16%. Again, African American, 64%. Hispanics or Latinos, 42%. Non-Hispanic whites or non-white Hispanics, 24%. The total number of children living with single parent home at this study was 34%. But in the African American community, it's twice that. Twice that. Now that means that father's seed is not being sown into the lives of those children, to those sons, especially to those daughters. And you want to know how we got to this point? In my state, I'm coming to you from Alabama, historic Selma, Alabama. In my state, African American community, 74% of the African American community are single parent home. 74% single parent home. Staggering. Look how many lives are affected, because that seed from the headship for the father is not being sown. Remember, life is in the seed. Non-Hispanic whites in Alabama is only 23%. It's only 23% of white homes are single parents. But it's 74%, 3 times as high in the black community in Alabama. My state. The total population in Alabama, that's all races, single parent homes is 39%, which is higher than the national average of 34%. The national average for blacks nationwide is 64%, but when it comes to in Alabama, it's 74%, which means 7 out of every 10 black families have single parents, which means and that's what 85-90% of those or even more are by single mom, which means that dad is not there, that father is not in life. And we'll show you the results of that in just a minute. Now, let me give you, and again, I want you to let this sink in, that we got to pray. And not only pray, we got to teach. Not only got to teach, we got to lead by example. Single moms have to do these. This came to me. This is what the Lord gave me. Holy Spirit gave me this. Single moms got such a difficult job and doing the best job they can, doing some awesome work with their children. But when they're single, raising a family, they got to be mom first, because that's who they are. They got to be the nurturer. But then they got to try to do the father's job. Number 3, they got to be the chief providers, the chief protectors, the chief disciplinarians, the guide, the advocate, the leader, and the spokesperson. Got to do all those things now while trying to raise children, because life is in the seed. The word that you speak are seeds. The word that we share are seeds. If we don't sow the seed of whatever we want them to become, how can they become it? Notice how we got to where we are tonight. It's even in your life. What are you expecting God to do? You got to say it. Whatever you need God to do, you're going to have to start speaking it. I need this. Start saying it. Decree it. Job 22:28. Thou shalt decree a thing. It shall be established, and the light shall shine upon thy ways. Right? So we got to get this in place. We can't. The life is in the seed. What are we teaching? What are we teaching? What are we sowing? Life is in the seed. Let me give you some more stats. This is an article by Jared Brown, and it called "Is Father or / Absent Homes: The Implications for Criminal Justice and Mental Health." They talked about what happens for it goes for criminalization or criminal justice and mental health, the effect on the criminal justice of children and the mental health of children when that father is absent. I'm just giving you some stats, because remember that life is in the seed. What are we speaking? What are we saying? And this was from the Minnesota Psychological Association. They gave these figures, some findings. And let me give you some things, what they found when that father is not in place. when there's an absentee, if a father, either he's not in place or he's not actively involved in that child's life. And he can be in the house and not involved, but especially when he's not in the house. I gave you those things that mom gets try to do, but now when he's not there, this is what the findings were. Number one, that it is the children have a perceived abandonment when that father's not there. He or she perceives, especially young men, that they've been abandoned, and they become to resent parental figures. Anybody try to be a father figure or parental figure, they resent that because they feel abandoned. They get the perception of abandonment. Number two, when that man's not there, when absentee fatherism, they have attachment issues. They don't like to attach themselves. They have conduct problems. They had misappropriated hostility because they have the attachment issue. They got issues with conduct. They have anger sometimes because they've not had that seed sown into their lives. Staggering when I saw this. Number three, child abuse happens more readily when that father is absent from the house. Children are more likely to be victims of child abuse. Twice as likely to be the subject of abuse when that father's not in the home. Twice as likely to become victims of child abuse when that father's not in the home. All kinds, whatever the abuse may be, physical, mental, sexual, or whatever it may be, when that man is not in the house. You know how we got to this point? We put it on the children. It's life. Remember I told you, life is in the seed. We can do better. We got to teach it, man. We have no option. Got to get. It ain't too late. Excuse my language, but it ain't too late. Teach it now. Where we start, right where we are, right where we are. Train them up in the way they should go. When they get old, it will not depart. That's that seed. Life is in the seed. Also, childhood obesity. It's more readily in people, in children, when the dad's not there, for whatever reason it is. Children are more likely to be, obese children are more likely to be from fatherless homes, and they're more likely to have obesity. You connect the dots. Perceived abandonment, attachment issues, child abuse, even childhood obesity can be. It's more prevalent in those when that father's not in the home. You know how we got to that point. And then criminal justice involvement when that father in the home. A study of female inmates. A study of female inmate, what this person said, found that more than half of the female inmate came from fatherless home. And so it's a perception that for women, going to be either high of that for young men. Found that more than half of them came from fatherless home. Staggering. Youth who never had a father living with them have the highest rate of incarceration. Wow. And also have a higher risk of using illicit drugs. You think we got a problem? Life is in the seed. What are we sowing? Who's speaking into their lives? Mom's got to be superwoman, super mom, to do all the things that has to be done to keep those kids afloat and keep the family afloat. That's not the intent of God. I'm just giving you stats. Gang involvement when the father's not in the home. A higher percentage of gang members come from fatherless homes. Gangs give them a sense of belonging, and the leader of the gang give them a father-like figure because it's not there, not prevalent. Those who are a higher percent of all the gang members come from fatherless homes. Then now this one, mental health issues. The children's mental health is affected by when that man's not in the house or not in their lives. I should say not in their lives. I don't say been home because they don't have to be in the home to be in their lives. When the father's not in their lives, mental health issues are more prevalent. Coming from fatherless home can contribute to a higher rate of emotional problems such as anxiety and depression. Isn't that amazing? Can also have an increase in suicidal attempts or suicidal thoughts, social withdrawal, school absentees, all because when their father's not involved in their life. You know what we got here? Life is in the seed. Who's sowing into their lives? And then I should say, what is sowing into their life? What is being said to them? What are they hearing? What are they listening to? We got to start talking to our children. We got to start talking to our young adults. I mean, not at them, talking with them, not to them, with them. There's a big difference to talk to me and talk with me. Let me give you what I'm thinking. We got to talk with them. The Bible tells us you shall know the truth. Truth shall make you free. Do they know the truth? I'm just a message for tonight. Please don't get angry with me. In other words, when that father's not involved, those children that not have a father involved have poor academic achievement, poor school performance. That's what they have. More likely to drop out of school and overall have academic problems because the father's not involved. Remember, the life is in the seed. What's being sown? And who's doing it? When the father's not involved in home, there's a higher rate of poverty and homelessness. There's a higher rate of homelessness and poverty. According to the U.S. Census, children from fatherless homes are 4 times more likely to be living in poverty. Listen to that statistic out again. Children from when the father's not involved, 4 times more likely to be living in poverty. And when you're in poverty, it produces all kinds of health issues, social issues, economic issues, all kinds, family problems, school, all those things happen. Substance abuse. When that father's not involved in that child's life, they're more likely to use alcohol and greater risk of abusing other drugs as well. All because not involved in those children's lives. What are we doing to our children? What seed are we sowing? Let me give you something here. Matthew chapter 13. Now this is going back to what we're sowing, making the ground good. And let me tell you what he said about the sower. Parents, adults, leaders, we're the sowers. We sow the word. I know this is a parable here of the sower went out to sow. Remember now, life is in the seed, and everything reproduces after its kind. Everything. Matthew 13 and verse 3. Behold, a sower went forth to sow, and when he sowed, some fell by the wayside. The fowls came and devoured them up. Some among thorny places where there was not much earth. And forthwith they sprung up because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell on good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. He who has ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit says. So you saw all kinds of fruit. You saw all kind of ground. They were sowing wayside, stony, among thorns and thistle on good ground. Now, I read this to you. It's where we are placing. We just can't tell the children. We just can't tell the people without examples or getting the ground ready for it. The ground ready for it. If I sow my good seed on stone, it won't come up. So we just can't be telling our children. We just can't be telling our youth. We just can't be telling the people. We got to prepare the people for what we're trying to give them so we can come up and produce. Right? Now skip down to verse 18. I'll show you something. What that seed was: good ground, stony place, thorns and thistles. Now watch what he said in verse number 18. He said, "Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and understandeth it, then the wicked one cometh and snatch and understandeth it not. He cometh and taketh away which was sown in his heart. This is he who received the seed by the wayside. If I give the word, if I teach the word, if I sow something and there be no understanding, the enemy will come and snatch that away because there's no understanding. Okay, it don't make any sense. I need y'all to do better, but you don't tell them why. This is how we got to this point, saints of the Most High God. Keep reading. And then he says, verse 20, but he that receiveth the seed into stony places, the same as he that hears the word and unknown with joy receive it. Yet hath he no root in himself, but endured for a while. And when the tribulation and persecution arrive because of the word, and by he is offended. Those that are on stony ground hear the word, but they have no root. In other words, we don't go over and rehearse that word. We don't keep reminding them, keep watering that word. Church attendance, Bible studies, or youth meetings, or whatever kind of group we're having. It's not reinforced, so no root is there. And when things come up, when other peers come to take away what they had, because there's no root, the thing does not produce. And then in verse 22, and he would receive the seed among thorns is he hears the word and cares, but the cares of this world and the deceiving of the riches choke out the word, and he becomes unfruitful. So then those who, if we don't govern behavior, then that bad behavior going to choke out that word. The cares of meanness, me, myself, selfishness, the carnality of man, it chokes out. That's why it's important that not only we teach it, we prepare the ground for the teaching, and then we cultivate it and we water it and we watch over it so it can produce. And when we do that, it's called good ground. Watch this. But he that receives the seed into the good ground is he that hears the word, understand it, which also bears fruit, bringing forth some 100, some 60, and 30. What are we doing with the seed? What are we doing with the seed? What we are sowing is what's coming up. It's a time to check the bags of seeds out that we're sowing. Is it any wonder how we got here? You teach me bad behavior, I'm going to do bad activities. Teach me nothing, then I'm teach me. If you don't teach me what you want me to become, I'm going to become what somebody's teaching me. The greatness of God is he tells us how to do it. Train him up in the way you should go. He trained us to say, if you acknowledge me, I'll direct your path. He give us guidance and says, seek ye first the kingdom and all these things they add unto you. He gives us how to do it. He tells us how to do this. Children, obey your parents in the Lord. This is right. That applies to all of us. I'm not talking about the teenagers and youth. I'm talking to us now. Obey your parents in the Lord. This is right. Honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, that it might be well with thee and that thou might live long on the earth. But what are we giving? What are we teaching? Life is in the seed. I keep saying it. And everything produces after its kind. Everything produces after its kind. If I want apple trees, I got to have apple seeds. If I want good outcome, I got to get good seeds. You cannot get corrupt fruit from a good tree. And you can't get good fruit from a corrupt tree. The vice versa. Good fruit requires good seed. Evil fruit comes from evil seeds. You don't get both. That's how we got here. What are we doing with the seed? What are we sowing? Life is within the seed. Words are seeds. A man's belly, the word of God says, shall be satisfied with the fruits of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. That's what he said. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. You have not because you ask not. And when you ask, you have for the wrong motives, that you may heap it upon yourselves. Wow. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. How did it get to your heart? What you heard, what you see. What you heard, what you see, and what you saw. What are we doing with that seed? Life is in the seed. Life is in the seed. One more time. Life is in the seed. If we want the thing to die off, just let us stop sowing and watch what happens. Because the life of the community is in the seed. The home gonna look like the seed that was sown into it. Not just the church, all of us. What are we sowing? Life and death are in the power of the tongue. For death and life are in the power of the tongue. They that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. You can't get corrupt fruit from a good tree. It ain't gonna happen. And you can't get good fruit from a corrupt tree. Life is in the seed. I gotta sow good words. I gotta sow good thoughts. Come on, we gotta teach it. As long as there's an absence or a drought or a void of good words, then it is that vacuum is filled with something that is constantly before our eyes and our ears. What do we hear every day? What do we listen to every day? The news is 90% negative, violence. TV shows got to have violence in it, or immoralities. Everything got to be in there. I mean, the culture itself producing all kinds of things for our children. Watching our kids watch at all these award shows and streaming services they're put out for our children, and wonder why they're thinking the way they're thinking, and wonder why they're acting like they're acting. Look at what they are being downloaded. Life is in the seed. If I'm downloading negative stuff, is it any wonder that I'm getting what I'm getting? Life is in the seed. Thank you for tonight, for listening to me rant. This is personal to me. God, we don't have to be this way. He tells us, train them up in the way they should go when they get old, not to depart. He tells us, obey your parents and love. This is right. He tells us, seek ye first the kingdom of God and right, and all these things are added to you. He tells us the secret thing belongs to the Lord our, the secret thing belongs to the Lord our God. But those things been revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all that contained in the law. He tells us that. So it's on us. Race into the swift, not battle to the strong. He gives us time and opportunity to get stuff. That's how I see tonight on how we got here. Be back next Monday night, Lord, we'll same time to talk about how we got to this point. Until then, stay safe. Love yourself. Love others. Serve God. Serve your brothers and sisters. And live to the best you know how to live. Till next Monday, have a great one. God bless.